Good morning, Unity of San Marcos, and all of you who are our online viewers. It's with deep love and respect I welcome you here this morning. Thank you for being here whenever you're here, online or today, gathered with me. I am Linda Gillespie, licensed Unity teacher. I serve Unity of San Marcos on the second Sunday of each month, but I am always at Unity of New Braunfels. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, I ran across an article that really caught my attention. And I knew that it would preach. Okay, that it would preach is my slang for this really resonates with me, and I feel led to share it. That's what it preach means to me. But before I could share that with you, I needed to know more about one particular aspect of it. Well, no, there was more than one. The article was in my mind, was originally given by Pope Francis. But people began to research it using that way to get into the article. And it wasn't happening. So a lot of research went into it, and they couldn't find anything in the Vatican archives that would say that it was written by Pope Francis. But they did find that it popped up in a Portuguese poet's repertoire. His name is Fernando Pessoa. He was born in 1888 and passed in 1935. A little man really in his head and his heart. And so we're not real sure who wrote it, but I think you'll join with me in saying thank you, author, whoever it was, by the time we get through. My talk title today is The Greatest Enterprise. Okay, enterprise is not a word that I use often unless I need to rent a car. And this is not what we're talking about this morning. So, yes. How would you define enterprise? Anybody got any ideas?
A voyage or a venture?
A voyage or adventure, that's a good one.
Innovation.
Innovation, yeah. That will all work. The dictionary defines it as a project or understanding, typically one that is difficult or requires effort. I was going, oh yeah. But it's like you said too. With that dictionary piece in mind, what would you consider as the greatest enterprise in the world? Good one. Life. That's the one. So this article begins. You can have flaws, be anxious, and even angry. But do not forget your life is the greatest enterprise in the world. Only you can stop it from going bust. Many appreciate you, admire you, and love you. Remember that to be happy is not to have a sky without a storm, a road without accidents, work without fatigue, relationships without disappointments. To be happy is to find strength in forgiveness, hope in battles, security in the stage of fear, love in discord. It is not only to enjoy the smile, but it's also to reflect on the sadness. It is not, oh, that just messed everything up. It is not only to celebrate the successes, but to learn lessons from failure. It is not only to feel happy with the applause, but to be happy in anonymity. Being happy is not a fatality of destiny, but an achievement for those who can travel within themselves. To be happy is to stop feeling like a victim and become your destiny's author. It is to cross deserts, yet to be able to find an oasis in the depths of our soul. It is to thank God for every moment, for the miracle of life. Being happy is not being afraid of your own feelings. It is to be able to talk about you. It is having the courage to hear a no. It is the confidence in the face of criticism, even when unjustified. It is to kiss your children, pamper your parents, to live poetic moments with friends, even when they hurt us. To be happy is to let live the creature that lives in each of us. Free, joyful, and simple. It is to have maturity, to be able to say, I made a mistake. It is to have the courage to say, I'm sorry. It is to have the sensitivity to say, I need you. It is to have the ability to say, I love you. May your garden become a garden of opportunities for happiness. In that spring may be the lover of joy, in winter a lover of wisdom. And when you make a mistake, start all over again. For only then will you be in love with your life. You will find that to be happy is not to have a perfect life, but use your tears to irrigate tolerance. Use your losses to train patience. Use your mistakes to sculpt serenity. Use pain to plaster pleasure. Use obstacles to open windows of intelligence. Never give up. Never give up on people who love you. Never give up on happiness, for life is an incredible show. And for that piece, we say, thank you, author, whoever you are. We are told in fable and allegory that we ultimately desire happiness. The greatest good of all our existence. Would you agree that that is our greatest joy? The greatest good of our existence? Happiness. Because of the confusion as how to reach happiness, we search for it, and that search has been one of our main sources of unhappiness. Those searching for happiness are actually searching for things that will make them happy. But this life brings a series of hopes and subsequent disappointments. Life is an adventure, and unhappiness always arises when we lose sight of this adventuring spirit. When we make life an adventure, we will find the holy grail of happiness. Our minds are so constituted that we worry in settings that are intended to bring us permanent happiness. Retirement, for instance, rarely brings permanent happiness. The whole philosophy of retirement is kind of like a wall between ourselves and the flow of experience. I get that. One of the greatest teachings of Jesus says, unless you change and become as little children, you will never enter the kingdom of God. There's no other way. Those who, like a little child, live adventurously from moment to moment, experiencing the spontaneous flow of life, is the only way to know happiness. Did you ever see a little child worrying about what was going to happen next? I've never seen a child worry about anything unless there was something dangerous going on in the home. But on the average, children, they're just happy little creatures. Imagination, memory, reason, and the five senses are all constituted to deal with the changing experiences. They just move from one thing to the other. So, normal life, as we know it, is not fashioned for security. It's not fashioned for security. This explains why money, position, and property all fail, in the end, to give happiness. The more we have, the greater we demand that we live a life of routine, chasing after more and more. The more security and less spontaneous our life experience is. When we back ourselves into a corner of limiting the happenings, we limit the opportunity for happiness. We cannot make ourselves happy, or we can't make anyone else happy. That which can be made, by definition, happens spontaneously. Arranged acts give little pleasure. But those who like one of these little ones have learned to yield to the flow of life and to the thrill of every constructive event that occurs. The one who is using their mind in the way for which it was intended. A small child is naturally intrigued with life. Nothing is impossible, and anything can be the means of an adventure. How many times have you seen a child play with the box for hours on end that a gift was received in, paying no attention to whatever somebody thought they needed, perfectly content? It's unfortunate that we have come back to think of maturity as a time of putting away childish things. And faith and simplicity are the first things to go. When we let go of our inner child, we lose our ability to find happiness in every experience. So, the only way to return to happiness is to become more like a child. Elizabeth Akers Allen writes, "Backward, turn backward, O time in your flight. Make me a child again, just for tonight." The art of living happily lies in the art of living adventurously. Think of happiness as not something to have, but something to be. Nothing can make you happy, but anything can provide you with the opportunity to be happy if you want it. You have the power to create your own sunshine. Remember, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Nobody else can do that for you. You got to do it for yourself. This has been termed Pollyanna, a term derived from the character created by novelist Eleanor Hodgman Porter. This little girl deserves another look these days. In our society, her name has become come to symbolize insipid or groundless optimism. Pollyanna found gladness in things that meant only dismay to others. Recovering from an accident, she was happy that now she had the time to read and for developing a new slant on life. Actually, the Pollyannas of the world have been the innovators, the explorers, the discoverers. Jesus could well be said, it could be well said of Jesus that he was the greatest Pollyanna of all times. For he believed in the goodness of all people, no matter what they had done or been. He talked of the wellspring within each of us that was our true source of inspiration. Soren Kierkegaard says, if an Arab in the desert were to discover a spring in his tent, and so would always be able to have water in abundance, how fortunate he would consider himself. So too, when the physical being, man, is always turned toward the outside, thinking that his happiness lies outside him, finally turns inward and discusses the source that has always been within him. He discovers that source is the relation to God and to the secret of living happily. Herein lies the place of the place of the Most High in every person. This is the secret flow of inspiration and life and strength and enthusiasm. The ability to meet the flow of life's experiences without resistance and with an adventurous spirit, adjusting to what cannot be helped. Change the things that can be improved, and always enjoying everything. Happiness is not an outer achievement, a destination to the end of the road, but rather it is an inner potential, a latent energy which must be expressed at the beginning of the journey. Joy is not something we should try to get out of work, but something we should put into our work. Stir up your inner spark and let it shine. Know, as Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Start every morning resolving to let the kingdom come through you, as you. Remember, nothing has power to give you happiness, but anything can be an incentive to release the happiness force from within yourself. We are dealing with attitudes that can be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Resolve to put you with a capital Y, into everything you do. Do not resist things or try to find joy in experiences. Flow with the continuity of what is happening in your life, and to put joy and enthusiasm into the adventure of living. Thank you, Eric Butterworth, for these wise words. And remember always, an enterprise is a project or undertaking, typically one that is difficult or requires effort. Your life is the greatest enterprise in the world. Namaste, dear ones.
Namaste.